Hello friends, Niki here and welcome to our Moscow European Championship combined Olympic qualifying event from last Saturday report. Did I say report? I will start with my own personal opinion. If you don't want to hear that, skip to I don't know which minute, but you will find it here to see what happens and see the action and my little analysis about what happened and what the climbers are doing. Not all nations participated, COVID crisis, I'm not going into that topic, but we start with the speed category, which was speed. Speed is really exciting if you see it live. It can be quite boring if you see it on the screen. Believe me, if you ever see a speed contest live, go over there. I like it a lot and I think it should be part of the Olympic combined category in the future as well. IFSC skipped it already. Anyway, not my decision. What I don't like is their decision to lower the amount of bowlers to only 3 instead of 4 and raise the starters to 8 to be able to cover more nations into the final. I'm pretty sure that's the reason behind it. The IOC wanted to see more of this because 3 bowlers are harder to create a ranking, and even though you have 1 bowler, which is quite easy, it's not easy enough for the speed climber. The speed climbers surprised me again. They did not improve in bouldering at all, and they on lead they never made it out of the first panel. It's decathlon and the other track and field disciplines, they have different disciplines mixed as well, but they are way closer and way more similar, so the speed climbers really have to bring up their A game. But I think the French guys, or the French speed climbers, they are pretty good in the other disciplines as well, which what I'm looking forward to Tokyo next year. 3 bowlers, as mentioned before. For example, the women's category. The first one didn't create a ranking at all, and the last one was just too dangerous in my opinion. And after the zone didn't create a ranking again. They were quite lucky that the 2 jumps out of the 3 bowlers created a ranking somehow. So kudos to the route setters for doing this, and also kudos to the route setters. I don't know how and who did this, for setting 3 jumps in the male category. As mentioned before, I think I mentioned it 2018 for Innsbruck. I'm a dynamic setter, I'm a dynamic climber, but having 3 dynamic moves in 3 boulders, I don't think that this is the way to go, and I think the IFSC or the head route setters should install a system that we have at least 3 really different boulders. Even though each single bowler in the male category was really good, I did not like the mix of 3 dynamic bowlers. Out of the women's round, I only liked bowler number 2, bowler number 3 only at the start, bowler number 1 was bowler number 1 was just a bowler. I think it could have been way better. I read on 88.new, I don't know if this is reliable, that one of the setters said they were setting for 14 days straight, and for the lead finals they were just too tired to test efficiently and properly. If this is true and the case, and the setter set this so open, we gotta do something. The IFSC gotta do something. I'm unfortunately not in charge of things. I would do things differently. I don't know how, but I would do them differently, definitely. Yeah. Lead category, the only thing left on my paper, and it was the women's lead category was okay, the route was fine. The wall is way too low in my opinion. It always turns into a speed competition, and that's what we've seen in the male competition, male category. Yeah, 3 tops, and only speed decided. I think, I don't know whether this is bad setting. Of course, we can blame it on the route setters now. The athletes know that it mostly turns into don't step on the ball competition and be way quicker than your competitor. I don't know how hard the routes are. I think it could have and has to be done differently in the future. We don't want to see 2 out of the 3 categories turn into a speed routine and a speed climbing that time matters, because it's called lead, it's not called lead speed lead whatsoever. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the time. It took 8 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. I was watching the whole soccer footy games next to it, and climbing was way longer than all the footy games. But anyway, thank you Premier League and Bundesliga and La Liga, because this competition took a long time, and I don't know, I will only do it 2 more times. The Australian Oceanic qualification qualification event in December, and Tokyo Games next year. Olympic Games in Tokyo next year, 2021. Niki out, enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions or if you don't agree with me and what I'm saying. I rushed through this because it's just a lot. But I hope you take the time and take a look at it and let me know what you think about the competition. Niki out, love you, bye! Okay friends, we start with a speed event in the combined final, and as usual they take the speed event which happened before and take the fastest climber climbs versus the slowest, second fastest versus the second slowest, lowest, and so on. And that's how it looks like. We start with Patrycja Chudziak, sorry for my pronunciation, versus Eliska Adamovska, I think that's her name, who is on the right side and who was the slowest in the single speed discipline a couple of days ago, which went into the combined qualification format and ranking. I will just show you the first round. The second round, let's skip the second round and let's come back to the third round, which determined the last positions, like the spots which went into the ranking. Here we see Sascha, Gejo and Meul racing against each other, and here Molly Thompson-Smith versus Viktoriia Meshkova, the boulder and lead European champion. Quite surprising performance. I haven't seen her before, I have to admit. I've seen Caulier before, and I think Chloe and Stasa, including Meul, used to be my favorites for the combined ranking, but Viktoriia Meshkova was a big surprise over the last couple of days, and while Stasa and Viktoriia moved on to the winners bracket, Chloe and Meul moved into the lower bracket, which added already a couple of unfortunate points into the ranking system. So let's take a look who takes place 8, 7 and so on. They both have a similar quick start. I slowed down everything here, and then something is different. While Eliska, you can see it on the left side, she aims for the left hold, while Molly uses the so-called Tomura method, discovered by Tomura Narasaki, if I'm not wrong, where you just use the first hold as a foothold, and then they are nearly the same height and the same speed again, but now there's a different sequence here as well. Molly uses the right hand foothold and the higher hand hold, and she covers a hold with her body, which Eliska uses. This one red circled on the left side, and apparently Molly's sequence is a little bit quicker and brings her to spot 7. Small differences can make a big difference when it comes to the ranking. Anyway, Meul on the left side versus Chloe Caulier, and they start almost the same, but now something happens here. They both use the Tomura method, and while Hannah's right leg is a little bit lower and stretched, so she smears with her right foot, but she can't push because her leg is already straight. Chloe's leg on the right side, you can see it is bunched and she can continue pushing, and Hannah has problems standing up. She was never able to recover from this mistake because Chloe doesn't do any mistakes at all to the top. I haven't watched enough speed replays yet, but I think this is the reason for the Tomura skip and for Hannah's fault that she can't do it. Okay, welcome to race for place 4/3, and let's take a look how Stasa and Elena are doing, who's climbing on the right side. She also has a way better, quicker reaction. We can see that she's already on her way to the second handhold, placed her foot, but she's a little bit too hasty. We can see it here. She misses the left foothold. She almost recovers and almost catches up with Stasa again, but yeah. If you have a flawless race, most of the times it helps to win your duel. Speaking of flawless, watch the left side and how she executes the roundabout without the Tomura skip. Executes it flawless so that the Tomura skip doesn't help Viktoriia at all, who finishes in second place, which is really good because just finishing behind the obvious speed climber is worth a lot when it comes to the ranking. The ranking for the women, at first I didn't get why it says fall for Viktoriia and Hannah, but now after watching some replays I think it's fall because they were not able to hit the buzzer, so their time was still running, and that's kind of a fall. Yes. Speed racing, speed climbing, I'm not used to it that good yet, but I will be in the future. I really have to admit that I loved speed climbing when I watched it, when I've seen it live in Arco at the World Youth Champs last year, because it's so intense and everyone knows what's happening track and field. You might be a traditionalist, a real rock climber or whatsoever, and you probably might not like speed climbing at all, but watching it live is really spectacular and is a lot of fun because at least something's happening, no one is standing around, and it's so easy, and once in a while you can almost see a world record being broken, and it's just cool if people can execute it and climb it flawless without any mistakes. We see here another inner Russian duel, and we come to the last round, the loser brackets and the winner brackets race for place 7 and 8, an inner Israelian race. Who would have thought about this back in the day? This one was the hardest for me to analyze because Khazanov on the right side is so far ahead here, but somehow his companion Shemla on the left side catches up here because Alex slipped, but he still keeps it together for the top and finishes in place 7. Congratulations. Alex is mainly a boulderer, while we have two multiple skilled guys here. William Bosi is well known for his lead abilities, but he is also a strong boulderer. Aleksei Rubtsov, coming back after an injury, is just a machine. Well, he was a little bit behind here. They both used the Timora skip, and he is still behind. But then, after this hold, he takes over William Bosi. I wish I had 4K slow-mo cameras, but on the left side, William Bosi matches hand and foot, while Aleksei releases his hand and places the foot alone, just saves a millisecond or whatsoever. And I think this is the reason why Aleksei finishes in place number 5. Sascha Lehmann versus Nikolai Iarilovets, and Nikolai is just quicker when it comes to his start and reaction. We can see it here. He's already moving towards the second hold, and maybe Sascha took the wrong beta, because Nikolai on the right hand uses this hold only with one hand and keeps on pulling, while Sascha on the left hand now uses both hands. Maybe, probably this can be the case, but Nikolai just had the better reaction anyway. Nevertheless, pretty good work making it into the winners bracket, where there are a lot of speed climbers and just animals. Just take a look on the right hand side. I don't know whether Sergei is originally a speed climber. On the left hand side, Marcin Dzienski from Poland is a speed climber. They are almost on par. Is it what you say, on par? I think you can say that. But if you slip like Sergei on the right side, take a look at his left foot, slips, you lose. Anyway, losing and ending up in second place, that's quite okay in my opinion. As always in a combined speed event, the speed specialist won this category. I'd like to see and experience the first time when a non-speed specialist wins, maybe due to speed or fail the first category, because this can turn things upside down quite quick. And now we go over to the women's bouldering round. We start with speed specialist Patrycja Chudziak from Poland, and unfortunately this almost always happens when a speed specialist goes onto a lead wall or a bouldering wall. This is what happens. Nothing really happens. She has to move over to the left, create some opposing force like pushing here or there. You can also stand on top of the volume and don't have to use the screw-on. Anyway, 4 minutes of nothing until Elena comes, who's a little bit taller, and she bumps with her left hand immediately to the first volume, skips a move apparently, but when it comes to the end, it's not that hard, not that tricky, but she misses the last hold on her first try. Another angle to show you that she arrives a little bit too low. In her second try, she matches the penultimate hold. Take a look at her toe hook underneath the volume to keep her hip close to the wall, and finishes boulder number 1 in 2 tries. Eliska Adamovska from the Czech Republic used her length and just crossed over, standing still on the first starting volume. As mentioned before, the boulder number 1 was not too hard. Almost everyone flashed it. We can see here a flash from Stasa and Viktoriia, and it was a real easy opener boulder. The maximum amount of tries was 2 tries, if I'm not mistaken, just to send it for Elena. Okay, speed climber did not climb it at all, but yes, Sascha used her flexibility here and was a little bit quicker, while Viktoriia was a little bit hesitant and climbed back. Yeah, we can see it here. Elena used 2 tries, everyone else only needed 1 try, so it didn't do anything for the ranking. If 4 climbers flash it out of 3 boulders, it's not that good for the ranking. This one looked, on the other hand, a little bit better to create a ranking. I don't know whether if Patrycja ever climbed a boulder like this. Elena did for sure. In her first try, she used a little bit too much momentum and didn't catch the toe hook. That's her second try, where she was able to catch the toe hook. Okay, now climb a little bit faster. I did this for you. She took longer, of course, but this just looks better for the analyzers. Really beautiful second part, which is more balancy. You had to mantle up onto this bonus hold, push underneath, and then you couldn't see the green jug from underneath, from below, maybe a little bit, but you either had to jump. Let's see what she's doing. Yes, she takes a little bit. She wants to traverse to the left. You had 2 little screw-ons, and then you could pop out and jump. It's a huge jug. 11 minutes in, and finally our first real move which we can analyze. Okay, this sloper is like a sloping ledge, and the momentum carries you to the right, and if you don't have an opposing force, it carries you back to the left again. So that's why you try to catch the toe hook with your foot, which pulls you to the right side and also pulls you slightly a little bit lower, so you can apply some pressure and some force onto the sloper. Easy as it is, Viktoriia did not have a good time because she never had enough momentum to get the sloper. Sometimes she matched her hands on top of it. Sometimes she wasn't able to just carry the momentum through the right, so she didn't even get the zone. Sorry if I said bonus before. Molly, who is more of a lead climber specialist and also a little bit smaller, did not have a good time, while Chloe, who is a boulderer specialist, was just jumping harder and quicker and just faster in executing this move, so she was able to do it even though they are both quite small. Eliska is way taller and managed to do the jump quite quickly, but then she mantled onto the volume from the right side, a little bit more powerful, and now we can take a look at this frogger. That's what the screw-on is called by flat hold, the right hand thing. I can't even see it, looks like a technique, not really good. But from this point on, it was quite easy if you had the energy to jump, and you had to jump high, not off the wall. In her second try, maybe she was afraid a little bit of jumping, so she traversed with her left foot a little bit further to the left, and then you were able to do it almost statically. By far my favorite boulder, because it combined a dynamic, risky, tricky part at the bottom and then a slow, steady upper part where you had to concentrate a lot. And for the first time we almost had a ranking. Stasa and Hanna leading the pack into boulder number 3, which also started with a dynamic, high and risky part, triple pedal jump into this hidden 360 dual text ball on the left side of the quarter circle. What's it called? A quarter circle. Anyway, the lower part was quite cool, while the higher part, the end part after the zone, was quite, I don't know, quite heinous. Heinous? Do you say it like this? Quite not that obvious. It was a wrestling part, which was cool, so it wasn't dynamic and quick anymore, but it also looked like a near-death experience, because you had to stand on this little yellow foot and then something like this happened. really risky, in my opinion. Yeah, here you see the slight foothold. Risky means dangerous last move at the top, because you had to rotate and push yourself into this undercling, probably move your right foot onto the big surface to apply some pressure. It did not look cool at all, especially at that height. I think there could have been something more slower, less dynamic, less dangerous, and still risky, but less dangerous, as mentioned before. Because when Chloe tried it, I think she tried the last move 3 times. That was her first try, this was her second try, and this was her last try. They didn't show this again, they just showed how she landed on her flat. Fritze was shocked, German coach, and I think that's how she... that's her fall. That's bullshit. That's straight up something you don't do. Sorry, friends, sorry, colleagues. This is something totally unnecessary in my opinion. And yes, Sascha could reach it with one hand. I think you had to push into it dynamically and place your right foot again on the volume. No one was able to do it, so we didn't have any selection. Again, 3 boulders, and I think it could have been way better. I think that's the beta. Yeah, congratulations in 3.50 m doing such a wild move. Even though I didn't like the boulders that much, boulder number 1 was a little bit too boring in my opinion, boulder number 3 was too wild in the end. We still had a ranking separation here, because we had different amounts to tops and zones and so on. So let's take a look at the men's category, which was more dynamic, less boring, but just more dynamic. Anyway, the rankings after the boulders: Stasa, Gejo leading the pack, then Chloe in 3rd place, and Viktoriia not far behind in place number 4, coming up with one more category, the lead climbing, to go. But let's switch to the men's boulders, like I said before. It's going to be a dynamic round. It started with a dynamic first move and then moved into this corner and into a slower second part, which I really like, a mix of 2 different speeds. Our speed climber this time was not able to get the bonus, at least he did a move. Yuval Shemla from Israel showed us how the first move is done really well, and he's showing us the corner part as well. These dual text volumes on the left side, you were able to push on them and stem and step onto them. And then on the right side, the 2 blue holes are dual text cheetah screw-ons. They are not that great, and then cheetah volumes, this time the original shapes, not the Russian versions. And he fell off. In his second try, he moved his left foot further to the right, stayed calm, and matched this handhold. You can see blue tape leading to the hold, blue tape on the blue volume, excellent choice. And he touches the hold with both hands, fingers. Nikolai, I think this is his 2nd or 3rd try, misses the top hold, which is a little bit hidden in his first try. In his second try, or last try, he slips off. We can see it here on his right foot, slips away on the steep screw-on, which is quite slopey. Aleksei tries to jump to the top from the second volume and improves his position in his last try. Did you see his left foot? Let's take a closer look at their feet. Aleksei is standing closer to the corner on the right side of the furthest volume, which allows him a little bit more ability and range, and with this he can keep his right foot on the right foothold, while Nikolai has to push from further away and slips off the right foothold and also misses the last hold. Lead climbers Sascha, Lehmann and William Bosi from Great Britain also did not have a good time, and both only secured a zone hold. Khazanov, on the other hand, from Israel, big favorite for the bouldering competition, flashed boulder number 1. We can see this here. Nice angle to see how he is climbing calm in this corner. He uses the zone foothold to push off, and here we can see why William Bosi fell off because his right knee is not in a good position to push onto. It's facing down opposite to Alex Khazanov on the right side, who has his hip open and in a position where you can push and gain height. The ranking after boulder number 1, a tie on the first place, and we move on to boulder number 2, which is again dynamic at the start. This time a real dynamic move to a handhold and not a push into something, and Yuval Shemla was the first one able to solve this move, moving the big distance into the shoulder Gaston. Really powerful. I like the color combination of orange and black, it looked really appealing, and he was unfortunately not able to solve the last move. Nikolai, on the other hand, in his flash go just campused the first move, or just held it with one hand. Didn't stop there, he tried to get his hip underneath the big sloper, and easy peasy flash of boulder number 2. 3 different methods to solve the first dynamic move. While they all have to jump, Nikolai and Aleksei on the right side use the opposing force of their volume to stop their momentum. Yuval in the middle uses only his shoulders. He jumps into a Gaston, which is really powerful and hurts a little bit. He arrives quite high and then he drops into straight arms. That's a little bit risky for your health, but he's a pro athlete and doesn't care in this final. This boulder was really good, 3 moves, but for every move there were different ways to do it. Take a look, Sascha Lehmann on the left doing a karate kick into this toe hook, while Aleksei on the right just skips this one volume completely, and they have 2 different ways to climb to the top as well. While Sascha heel hooks his way and keeps his hip close to the wall, Aleksei just moves his hip further to the left and sinks below the top hold. Also 2 ways to do the last move. Remember Yuval in his first try, we can see him on the left side when the barn door opened and the swing carried him away. Okay, Sascha found a solution, he just flipped his right hand, you can see it here, underneath below the orange hold to stop the momentum. Really impressive. Alex crimping the shit out of this volume and doing the flip as well. Alex Rubtsov and Alex Khazanov, they won already a bouldering World Cup final, so they are leading the pack as assumed. And there was another dynamic first move in the third boulder as well. A little bit too much in my opinion, but Yuval Shemla in his last try tries to find his way through the sea of cheetah volumes, pinches and dishes and the remade taiju. And he take a look at his right foot, he's using a heel hook and drops again, falls off on the last move like he did in boulder number 2. Nikolai doesn't use a heel hook, take a look at his right foot, he's standing with his toe and he's pulling on it so his hip is really close, and he flashes boulder number 3. Aleksei Rubtsov was the first starter facing the wall for the start move, which made it a little bit easier because he didn't have to rotate his body for the jump, he could see where he was jumping to, and yeah, just was a little bit easier. Unfortunately, he fell in his first try at the top move, he used a heel hook as well. Second try, with only 1 minute to go, he fell as well, and then in his third and last try, only 30 seconds to go, he didn't have any break at all, any pause, and this boulder was burly as hell. He managed to get really close to the top, got the pinch, drop knee here, and this time I don't know what he did. He's using the heel again, but this is just Aleksei Rubtsov magic. He sticks close to the wall and finishes boulder number 3 as well. Sascha Lehmann, lead climbers are so strong, physically strong, flashes boulder number 3 as well. While Alex Khazanov had many problems with the start. Take a look, it's 2:44 now, he's starting, and now this one is a little bit quicker. Okay, he started something 2:40, 2:44, and he needed more than 20 seconds, more than half a minute to turn around and execute the jump. After the jump, he fell, so he wasted a lot of time and energy not to top this boulder, unfortunately. Aleksei Rubtsov winning the bouldering round and also leading the ranking, going into the lead category with 5 points in front of Nikolai and Marcin. Now we move on to the women's category, and this took already over 5 or 6 hours watching the stream. I can tell you this may be boring with my voice, but it's way quicker. Quick was also Patrycia's appearance in the lead final. She fell from this black Squadra Fichtel, which is not too bad. Stasa Gejo here we can see before she started her run, before the final started, she was in position number 1. She was able to shake off and take a break here, moving into this burly part. A lot of Fichtels and cheetah volumes with a lot of jibs on them. This part wasn't too hard, it was just really pumpy. What we've seen here in general at the European Championship in Moscow were a lot of fiberglass holes having jibs on them, which route setters like but gym owners hate. What I really liked is the right hand side, the score system, which you can see all the time. Okay, she's the second starter, so she's setting a high point, moving into a traverse to the left now on tiny itsy bitsy crimps. Now she moved slowly to the left with her left foot. You can see her right elbow being open. She's not crimping the right hand anymore, and she falls, unfortunately. Let's take a look at Chloe, who started straight after her and who did not have problems with this move. She kept her right foot on the right side on the volumes as long as possible, while Stasa already cut loose and is a little bit lower, sitting here only on her left foot. We can see that Chloe is a little bit higher with her whole body in a more stable position for her right shoulder. Stasa's right elbow is in a typical position for a lead climber when you have to fight, or when you are fighting and close to fall off. And yeah, Chloe is doing this move easier. She takes the lead in the lead category, moves further to the left and enters the third panel still on these crimpers and jibs which are screwed onto these purple volumes, and she falls a little bit higher. Hannah Meul, who was quite good in the lead championship as well, she finished in 4th position. She has problems reaching the third panel. Same foothold, different hand positions. Hannah matched on the left side, while Chloe uses both crimps as side pulls, and she can move her hip a little bit easier and guiding and helping with her right hand, which is still on the crimp. We can see that now she moves a little bit higher, her hip moves higher, while Hannah's hip moves lower. Chloe can even shake a little bit, take a break, but Hannah's hip is further away from the wall, and as soon as she tries to grab higher, she pops off the wall, while Chloe doesn't have any problems moving her hip over to the right and reaching the next hold. Then another big contender for the first spot of the Olympic qualification European Championship and for the last spot to make it to the Olympic Games entered. Viktoriia easily matched and climbed past Stasa's high point. She also passed and overtook Hannah's high point, and then she also surpassed Chloe's highest point, moving into the last bit of the route, which was another traverse going to the left again. Nowadays the competition walls are quite low, usually 3 panels, 3 different angles, and to get as many moves as possible, to set as many moves as possible, they have to add and create many traverses. As seen here at the top, the whole route doesn't even have 40 moves. In former days it used to be way more moves than nowadays, but Viktoriia has to do another drive-by to cross over to the finish hold, and she's doing this as well in almost only 4 minutes. She tops the route and moves to the top of the leaderboard. We can see right here that Stasa is in position 4 right now, and that's really risky and dangerous, because everyone who climbs further than Stasa, like Molly Thompson-Smith here in the next move, puts Stasa further down in the ranking, so her score is lower and lower, and with this move Viktoriia wins, or at least moves past Stasa in the ranking. Molly was not able to top the route though, and we can see that her left foot is a little bit lower and that her right hand is still in a Gaston position, while Viktoriia on the right side of the screen flipped her right hand into a side pull and her left foot is a little bit higher. She's able to stand up. She's standing up in a slight bow to the right side, while Molly pops off the wall as soon as she tries moving. She's not standing up over and above with her right foot. The right foot is also pulling a little bit the hip to the right, and Viktoriia easily gets the last hold and tops the root. I think this is really well done, and this example shows it quite okay-ish. That's what I would say. Stasa immediately knew that Molly bumps her down in the ranking, but that Molly did not bump Viktoriia down in the ranking. Chloe got bumped down later into 6th place because apparently she was stepping onto a bolt, and this was the ranking before Eliska Adamovska tops the route as well. She's also standing a little bit low on the left side, but she's way taller than Molly. Unfortunately, we don't have another angle, but she's really close to the wall and sticks the move, which makes Viktoriia the winner of the bouldering European Championship, the lead European Championship, and she also gets the last place, the last European spot to go to the Olympic Games in Tokyo. Congratulations! That was a surprising week, pretty well climbed all over, except for the one boulder which she didn't have anything to do with. She climbed just way better than everyone else, and I didn't know her before, and I think she was a big surprise for every one of us, and I'm looking forward to Tokyo next year. We are also looking forward to see more from Marcin, because I have to say he just has the best style. I love a good bandana, no retreat, no surrender, like Jason Stillwell when he has to fight Ivan Krasinski. Yeah, okay. He makes it at least almost to the second panel. Yeah, these flat hole pinches just throw him off. In the next picture, he tries to bump one more time, but he's out of power. Alex Khazanov, on the other hand, he quickly cruises through this section, reaches the second panel, and now we just enjoy Alex, who's a bouldering specialist in his last combined triple combined format, cruising through the sea of volumes. Many pinches, many crimps, and we reach the end of the second panel, moving into the third panel, which is I think the slabbiest, less steepest, but Alex has problems with the left hand, and he's hanging on this flat hole slope, and he has problems to find a good position for his feet. Take a look now how he swaps feet back and forth, and he can't get his hip really close underneath the hold and cannot move forward. He switches back and falls off the wall. William Bosi, on the other hand, a lead climber, he takes a stable position, takes a rest here with the heel hook, matches the sloper and moves higher with the right hand first. The orange hold has a little screw on it, so it's way better than the sloper, and you are straight underneath it, your center of gravity, so you can move your feet to the left, and then he enters the last panel as mentioned before, and another traverse because the wall is just not high enough. They probably tried to simulate the Tokyo wall, which is also I think only 12 or 13 meters, not that high, and then he enters the last traverse, penultimate, and then one more move to the big jug on top of the volume, and he falls, unfortunately. Moving on the last move is really unlucky. The whole route turned into a speed climbing battle, I have to say. It wasn't too hard. I don't know whether Sergei is a lead specialist, but he's at least 35 seconds at this point quicker than William Bosi, and he's standing on his left foot for the last move and sticks the last hold. Of course, he's also a little bit taller, quicker, maybe stronger. He just climbed the whole route and even did it way quicker than William Bosi. Yeah, another Russian guy here, Nikolai Iarilovets. He has more problems than Sergei, but he's also quicker than William Bosi, but he falls on the volume before. One last look at the ranking. Aleksei is still leading, but Aleksei and Sascha Lehmann are still to climb, while Sascha is the way better lead climber than Aleksei, and everything can go upside down or the other direction. Aleksei made it easily to the third panel, and he also climbed really quick. Take a look, he didn't even need 2 minutes up to this point, and he already beat Alex, and he's really close to get to Nikolai's high point. All these cheater and flat holds have chips on them as well to make them a little bit better. That's the style of the Moscow route setting, I have to say. Not good for a commercial environment, but yes. Aleksei is struggling with this volume. He has a lot of power, but he also needs a lot of power to solve this position. A drop knee here in a really bunched position. But Aleksei Rubtsov is a man of determination, and he's still way quicker than William. Bosi gets the penultimate hold, steps high with his right foot, elbow out, and he pops off the wall. He doesn't stick the last hold and the last move. I think he slipped with his right hand off the crimp before he even was able to execute the move properly. So Aleksei in third place right now when it comes to the lead ranking, and here we see Sascha Lehmann. He's a little bit, he's quite quick. He only needed 2 minutes up to this point. He's a lead climber, he has power, endurance, he's got everything what he needs to secure the first spot, but he's fighting. You can see it in his face. But he reached the penultimate, I think the quickest so far, gets the top hold, finish hold, clips at 3 minutes 30 and beats Aleksei Rubtsov. Is he the winner though? He has clearly beaten Aleksei Rubtsov, who has only 15 points, and he's clearly leading the ranking. Only one more climber, Yuval Shemla from Israel, about to enter the wall. And Yuval Shemla, even though he can't win, he can still decide the ranking and the result of the lead competition, and with this, the whole ranking of the combined format. He enters the last panel with 4 minutes and 15 left on the clock, by far the quickest climber so far, and he doesn't stop, he just continues. This is real time, this is not quicker, made faster or edited in any other way. 4 minutes left on the clock, and he reached this third last volume with 3 minutes 50 left on the clock, way quicker than anyone else. Reaches the penultimate, and he steps high with his right foot. He's tall, jumps, and 3 minutes 40. 3 minutes 40, 10 seconds quicker than Sascha Lehmann, and this is what happened afterwards. Yeah, Sascha knows. He bumps down Sascha Lehmann, who has a bigger multiplicator now, like a bigger number. Instead of 1, it's 2. And the winner, instead of Sascha Lehmann of the combined ranking, is Aleksei Rubtsov. Even though he didn't finish the route, Yuval Shemla bumped Sascha Lehmann so far down that Aleksei's win in the bouldering competition was enough. Let's take a look at the ranking. 3 guys topped, by far not hard enough, so time decided. And this is the combined ranking. Aleksei with 20 points, 4 points less than Sascha Lehmann. And the dream came true. 2 Russian athletes make it to Tokyo. Whew. Yeah, this combined ranking is just a whirlwind, upside down. Up to the last climber, most of the times anything can be open. It's not easy to understand, and due to the route setting, only the time, the speed decided, not the difficulty of the route. I'll leave you alone with these pictures. What I really liked about this competition, that for the first time, it's only about the first place. It's like do or die. It's like only the winner makes it to Tokyo. It doesn't really matter whether you finish second or third. Take a look at Sascha. They get a medal, they get a prize for the second place, but no one cares. Really, no one cares. And this is like one of the most intense moments in climbing history, competition climbing history for sure, which I really like. And I'm looking forward to the last combined qualifying event in Australia, because I know many of these Australian starters, and I think it will be in really interesting and intense competition as well. I feel really sorry for Sascha Lehmann, but I'm also happy for Aleksei Rubtsov, who fought and came back after an injury. So Nikki out. Bye bye.